And we are live. All right, man. Welcome back to Set and Key Media. We got another banger for you. It is Candace Owens. ViVek Ramaswamy is about to sit down and speak some truth to y'all niggas.
Yes, sir. Thank you for returning. If you are a current subscriber, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like button, that subscribe button. We're going to get right into it for y'all today, but just want to say thank y'all for the continued support. We have seen major growth in the last, 27, 28 days. So shout out to y'all. We're going to keep going up. Top of the year, we're going to keep getting better, keep going harder, and we're just going to keep going. It's going to make it beautiful.
Right? Is this a simulation? Are we in some sort of
Yes,
crazy...
is actually the answer.
Dude.
Ian was intending to make the show as crazy as possible.
Let's go deep. What's up, everybody? Hello. Good
So the first thing I'd like to do, because this is a special episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of things pertaining to this election cycle.
Yep. And I encourage every one of y'all to go and watch this for yourselves, just to educate and be fully aware of what's kind of going on, the climate of the election this year. But we, of course, at Set and Key Media, going to highlight the key points for y'all, get into the juicy, the meat and potatoes of the shit.
Let you know where the fuck we stand on it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
I'm going to call out ViVek Ramaswamy right here in front of all of these big fans of yours, because you said in a CNN town hall that it's beginning to look, I'm paraphrasing, but it's beginning to look like January 6th was an inside job. And I must call you out, sir, because I will tell you definitively it was an inside job. And the media, of course, criticized you for pushing conspiracy.
As y'all know, the insurrection, quote unquote, that was led by Donald Trump, quote unquote, 3-4 years ago when he was in office. January 6th Capitol attack, as it's often referred to. This is the main topic of the discussion that they having today.
In my personal opinion,
what you think about that, Set?
I mean, I think it's all bullshit, bro. Like, just because he said boots on the ground, just because he had a little rally there, just because a few people, well, not a few, well, according to them, a decent amount of people decide to be radical. Every group has radicals.
Yes, sir.
You can't blame all of Muslims for ISIS. Man, like,
it's ignorant too.
It's ignorant.
It's very ignorant.
So why are we doing this to Trump, damn near?
I think a lot of the things he said that day, just in general, with his in his presidency, was said figuratively rather than literally. Yeah. And when you have, I don't know, the competition between the Democrats and the Republicans as we have it, I think a lot of that shit can be taken out of context purposefully. Yeah. And I think that was what was done here, personally, in my opinion.
And if you really want to get down to it, don't we have like a right to like fight an unjust government if the people feel like it's unjust?
Yes, we do. The right to protest.
But let's not get into that before they said we're inciting an insurrection.
Hey, we just gonna get into it, cover all the facts, cover the layout of the shit, and we'll let y'all make y'all decision. Okay. We're just gonna bring y'all right here on Set and Key Media.
I want to call the media specifically, first and foremost, a handful of media outlets, many of whom may actually be in the room today.
And so, no
disrespect to the individuals. I know these people aren't the ones who wrote the stories. Right. But the first thing
Tim Cass already talked fast as hell.
You said in a CNN town hall that it's beginning to look, I'm paraphrasing, but it's beginning to look like January 6th was an inside job. And I must call you out, sir, because I will tell you definitively it was an inside job. And the media, of course, criticized you for pushing conspiracy theories. They're lying. I want to call the media specifically, first and foremost, a handful of media outlets, many of whom may actually be in the room today. And so no disrespect to the individuals. I know these people aren't the ones who wrote the stories. Right. But the first thing I have for everybody is the definition of inside job from Oxford Languages.
You know his name?
Inside job is defined as a crime committed by or with the assistance of a person living or working on the premises where it occurred. That's simple, right? Like, some guy robs a bank and a security guard opens the door to let him in. That's the assistance. That's an inside job. How about that? I also, just for good measure, got the definition from Merriam-Webster.
That sounds about right.
And it once again says something very similar. Done by or with the help of someone in a position or within an organization or group.
So I got a question.
Let me go through these stories real quick. So we have this from CNN, fact-checking ViVek Ramaswamy's CNN town hall, where they say a false claim that police rolled out the red carpet on January 6th. They go on to say that you said it was an inside job. They say, facts first, Ramaswamy's claim that the rioters were invited into the Capitol is false. About 140 police officers were assaulted while trying to stop the mob from breaching the Capitol, et cetera, et cetera. This is a trick that many in media do, where they will take a true statement, a fact, then try to apply it to a totally different set of facts. Is it true that police officers were injured? Yes, it is. Is it also true that police opened the doors and fanned people in? Yes, it is. Here's a story from CNN.com.
So it is true that the police officers opened the door and fanned people in. But it's also true that these niggas got hurt. So two things can be true at the same time, pretty much. Because that was the main argument. Because a lot of people saying that, oh well, why would they flag them in and then get hurt? Mm-hmm. He's like, you feel me? And then like, why would they get hurt if they somehow flagged them in?
There's a lot of accounts, a lot of stories on what happened that day, but you made a fair point. Two things can be true. I think it was initially started, well, a lot of people that were there participating on January 6th had innocent intentions, innocent protestful intentions. And a lot of people, or a small minority of people, percentage of those people had ill intent, went extra. These are the people that, took a dump on Nancy Pelosi's desk, was in the Congress room, doing all the type of crazy shit. So not everybody that was there to peacefully protest that day was a part of the issue, but yes, there was a percentage of those people who went that extra mile and tainted the whole objective of what was to be done that day.
Taking dumps on death?
Man, they was doing some wild shit, bro. Okay. They was doing some wild shit. Now that I'm not sure if that was done, but that was disclosed as intent, as what was to be done.
Nancy Pelosi's a whole like inside trader. She deserves to go to jail.
They said to pull her out of the Capitol and make sure that bitch's head hits every step on the way down. That shit, yo.
God damn.
They was saying some wild shit.
They was
saying some wild shit.
That I will use to debunk CNN.com. Man who said January 6th was magical.
I'm cool with jail time. The saw on a woman on
they say a federal judge on Wednesday found Matthew Martin not guilty of 4 federal misdemeanors related to trespassing. Martin, who worked for a government contractor before his arrest following the riot, successfully argued that a U.S. Capitol police officer waved him into the building. At least one video played during the trial appeared to show an officer moving his arm in a waving motion. Yeah, CNN really doesn't want to admit it, but
so you got Capitol Police. Come on, man. Come on in here. Come on in.
Bro, fuck them
yeah,
too, bro.
Come on in here.
Bro.
Yeah.
Come in. Yeah.
So you telling me somebody who went under there with the intention of protesting and they're getting ushered into the Capitol by Capitol Police? You don't know what's going on. You're just going with the crowd.
And then they catch you.
Yeah, get indicted on federal charges.
For getting ushered in by the police, basically? So the police bro, wouldn't that be crazy? You riding, the police, bro, yeah, bro, fucking, bro, yeah, I'm behind you too. Man, you go home and all of a sudden you get that letter with the...
Alex Jones made a fair point on the, I encourage you all to go listen. It was a debate between Destiny, some more political pundits, and Alex Jones. And he made a fair point that he made when he said a lot of people that were there had innocent intentions just to protest. They were there just to protestfully let their voices be heard. And a lot of them got caught up. These are working people. These are people with families. These are people with careers. A lot of them got caught up on federal charges just for being there. Everybody that was there did not participate in any violence. Everybody that was there did not participate in any destruction of property. But a lot of people got charged. A lot of people are dealing with these charges just for simply being there.
On the grounds to just villainize Trump supporters.
Hey, I thought protesting was always all right. The Black Lives Matter movement, we protested. They protested. They did a lot of shit. They did a lot of shit. We ain't gonna get into it, but they did a lot of shit though. They did a lot of shit. They wasn't vilified in the same way.
Yeah, nobody sent a whole bunch of black people, a whole bunch of court letters going like, yeah, we're gonna see you for that vandalism you did. But then again, I ain't gonna lie, you'd have to damn near lock up like 25% of the country.
A lot of people participated in those Black Lives. That was going on in every major city across America.
Oh God, so it'd have been raps for a lot of people.
Let's break down the facts here. A judge determined a police officer made a waving motion, thus a man who entered the building felt he was invited, and thus there were no criminal charges to be had. The case was dismissed. If the police officer assisted that man, would that not be an inside job, according to Oxford? Here's an article from CNN. Joe Scarborough lambasts Capitol Police. You opened the effing doors for them. Going on to say that they politely opened the doors for terrorists who had scrawled on door murder the media. If the police politely opened the doors, providing assistance to these people to come in, would that not be an inside job? And how about this one from the New York Post? January 6th footage shows Capitol cops escorting QAnon shaman to Senate floor. So I have to just simply say,
that boy was
when
wild.
We say
that man,
like it was an inside job,
he kicked off a lot of shit.
They'll immediately respond by saying,
just like,
what's your
he
proof
looks
that
like the type to kick off shit. Like, he looked like he'll kick off a prison riot. He looked like the type to kick off a coup. He looked like the type to kick off what they charging Trump?
An insurrection.
Yeah, an insurrection.
When you describe an extremist, you envision a nigga like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what you envision. Like, this nigga got the horns with the face paint.
Oh, man.
Hey, bro, you set yourself up with imagery.
Had his shirt off, all type of shit.
It's the imagery. You set yourself up.
He sure did.
The Biden administration did it. Well, I never said that. I said it was an inside job. The Capitol Police were taking selfies with people. In some instances, opened the doors and let people in. I'm glad to have called out these news organizations. First and foremost, NBC News, of course. ViVek Ramaswamy promotes January 6th conspiracy theory by suggesting it was an inside job. I think according to CNN's own reporting, as well as the Oxford definition, we've here definitively stated and proven it was an inside job.
My question is, if the people inside are under duress and they let the people outside in because they're afraid for their lives, is it still technically an inside job,
Yes.
or was it provoked by the crowd's,
That's a very good
fear,
point.
essence of fear? It's a bit. I kind of lie with you that I think it is still technically, neutrally an inside.
You're also assuming that that was the case, right? I mean, I think that's even.
Yeah, that's a really good. That's a
Yeah, it is
that's
very
a nice
assumption.
guy assumption. I'd
Yeah.
like to say. Like, well, they could have felt pressure. They just let him in anyway. Like, come on, bro.
Like, come on, man, we don't want to be for real. We
Yeah,
don't want
but-
y'all tearing shit down. We just let y'all in. We don't want to smoke.
Yeah, we don't want no smoke, bro. And then, like, bro, how you gonna charge me if there's hundreds of people here? I'm here with a pistol. What am I gonna do? Shoot one of them and get mauled by the rest? Like, nah, nigga, I'm good.
But that's assuming that everybody in that crowd was aggressive.
Yeah, and that's assuming that it wasn't an inside job.
Exactly.
Even under that most charitable interpretation, those aren't necessarily the same people. You're talking about thousands of people. So some people had some violent behavior outside. Different people who show up at a door are allowed in a friendly manner. From the standpoint of the person who was allowed in, it doesn't matter what circumstance the police officer was under. The question is, what do they believe the government is telling them? So from the standpoint of that defendant, I'm a guy who walks up to the house of the people, wants to walk in, take my iPhone around. You see many of those people. Okay, probably the first time in the Capitol building. And they were allowed in by a federal police officer,
Yes, sir.
that of the Capitol Police.
These are facts.
Now, I find weeks or months or a year and a half later, I'm part of the largest manhunt in modern American history
God
to be
damn.
put into prison, in many cases charged, held without even being charged. So I think at the level of the individual, this is what it comes down to. It's not about finding what circumstance was or wasn't understandable for the government. For somebody who's going to be locked up, we better darn well apply the highest standard of a burden of proof to say that's what we're going to apply before you lock you up. And so the Capitol Police initially were sitting on a lot of that footage. They said it sat with Congress. So many of those defendants were charged without getting access to that video footage. And again, the justification they made was, usually a prosecutor has to turn over exculpatory evidence
Yes.
to a defendant. But here they didn't do it because they said Congress technically has the tapes, and that's not the prosecutors of the DOJ.
Nigga, what?
Wow.
standpoint of an individual
Wow. Hey,
Wow, that's
hey,
crazy. Imagine your defense lawyer not really knowing the stance to take because he hasn't got the evidence of what you did.
On God, it's
They
like
just said, "Yeah, you were there." But can I get that evidence
Tape?
sent over so we can kind of know what our defense is? No. I said Congress has it.
yeah, but I need it though. Okay, yeah, but you gonna
No,
defend without it.
It's caught up.
like-
It's caught up with the DOJ. You can't really do it right now,
It's like, bro, my defense is gonna be half-assed at best,
bro.
But why the prosecution is just gonna? Oh yeah,
You fighting with your arms tied behind your back.
yeah, one arm at least.
That's crazy,
Oh, and it's not your dominant arm.
man. You right-handed and they tied your right hand behind your back. Said fight with your left.
Boy. All right, let's get into it.
It's the government that's coming after you to put you in prison. And if the government's going to come after you to put you in prison, a couple basic things have to be true. That government did not actually cause you or incite you to commit the crime. And we're just talking about the Capitol Police dimension of this, let alone the FBI dimension. And the other thing that has to be true is
Entrap you
have
to
a
commit
chance
the crime?
to defend yourself with full exculpatory evidence, including the video footage of the circumstances of you being allowed into that very building you were allegedly trespassing in.
Yes, that
If
has to be
neither of those things
disclosed.
were the case, then I
Bro,
think
that
that's
before you send me to
not a
jail
crime.
on it.
And anybody who has been convicted or pressured into a false plea deal under those circumstances will, on my watch, get a pardon on day one because that's the right thing to do to stand for the rule of law in this country.
Would you
Shout
retry
out.
them with
Shout
the
out.
evidence?
I
He
think
pretty
it would
much
depend on the
said-
circumstances, but when you think about somebody who was
That full screen.
Yeah, he's pretty
first
much
of all
oh, shit.
peacefully
He pretty much saying, and shout out for him saying that he's pretty much saying, yeah, if you were there innocently protesting on that day, now if you were there causing mayhem, acting aggressive, causing destruction to property, you get locked up. But if you was there, just had your iPhone out, was in the Capitol, like damn, like yeah, we just protesting, like wow, yeah, fuck what y'all doing to Trump, we ain't for it, and you went home that day, man, we getting your ass out of we getting your ass up out of that jail, we getting your ass up out of that jail. Yeah, shout out. That's what America's all supposed to be about is
justice.
The right to peacefully protest.
Yup.
Letting niggas know you don't fuck with it without getting aggressive or physical.
And it's crazy as soon as they do that, though, for something that, they might have done, rigged. That's not touching. I guess you could talk about it now, but I don't want to touch it just yet.
Yeah, we'll leave it alone.
But yeah, when you rig certain things and people get mad about it,
or people feel like things are rigged,
yeah, and they make a protest, and now you want to call them insurrectionists all of a sudden, it's kind of suspicious. You feel me? No. It's like, so let's say that they were protesting for Trump to be in jail. It'd been good. It would have been no insurrection then. But because they were posting for Trump to pretty much get his shit recounted because they thought that the so-and-so was rigged. Oh, now they're insurrectionists.
Wait a minute.
That's not fair at all. It's not fair judgment. What the fuck? But they've been trying to villainize Trump supporters before January 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Now remember, the image of Trump supporters was basically redneck racist.
This is just kind of the January 6th incident opened up the chance for the narrative against Trump to be politically weaponized, and that's exactly what they've done for the past 4 or 5 years, and that's exactly what you see them doing now with them trying to go about, let's just say, affecting his campaign with certain things that have been done. We won't get into too much. I'm sure y'all are aware. If y'all are here on Saint Key Media tuning into this type of content that we cover, I'm sure y'all are aware of the landscape of the political game being played right now. But yeah, this is just a chance for them to politically weaponize the narrative against Trump, and that's exactly what they used it to do.
Man, they getting it off.
Protesting that day and allowed in those circumstances, there's something bigger going on here. In that same year, we've applied a totally different standard of the rule of law to violent riots. I'm not going to call them mostly peaceful protests. It's a translation if you're decoding the media lingo on this one. Mostly peaceful protest in the year 2020 for Antifa or BLM refers to violent riots. Against the backdrop of a year where there were all kinds of peaceful to violent riots across this country.
Everybody was rioting.
Against that backdrop, I believe especially what these people have been put through already. This is years of hell that we've put citizens of this country through. Anybody who was peaceful and did not physically assault somebody that day will get a day one pardon from me.
That's exactly what we're saying.
And then I'm going to go down the list, even of the people who allegedly, right? I don't believe anymore the government, if they just said, you're violent as an allegation. Now let's get to the facts and go down the list. Anybody else who had their constitutional rights denied during that process will also, in addition, get a pardon. I can't commit to that on day one, but on day one, I commit to start the process of going case by case. And it's not even about those defendants individually, though that matters, of course, to me. It's about the future of this country. Because if we put ourselves in a position where they can go after political opponents for this reason, they can go after political opponents for any reason. You got Julian Assange rotting in a foreign prison, while the person who leaked to Julian Assange is a woman by the name of Chelsea Manning, who effectively got her sentence commuted by President Obama because she's transgender. I actually have increasingly concluded she's probably not even transgender. She's probably just smart. That's how you have to identify to be a member of a politically favorable class.
No, that's
and so the two standards of the rule of law
that's chess, not
are really
checkers.
what irk me the most. And so this isn't just for the people
trans,
who are
Obama, get me out of
6th.
here.
It's for the rest
You're
of
guilty
us
of all these crimes.
in this country as
I'm
well.
trans. I'm trans.
So,
I'm
I don't think
trans.
your trial
Oh, you know
for most
what?
of those
Half the
cases is
crimes.
the
Half
right
the crimes.
answer.
My
If you're a
bad.
peaceful
My bad.
protester on January
Come on,
6th, you were truly peaceful and you were convicted or forced to plead or coerced to plead under false pretenses, you will get a pardon on day one when I'm in office.
I want to bring up real quick,
Yes,
just
sir.
to highlight again what CNN said in their article, fact-checking you, when they said about 140 police officers were assaulted while trying to stop the mob from breaching the Capitol. It's
140.
It's not shocking that almost every single news story that we hear about January 6th involves those who are acting violently. But I think perhaps one thing that we can do better, especially, we've got scanner.com, scnr.com, we have a news team, is focus on those who are peaceful, nonviolent, and shut up after the fact. I met a woman at a restaurant, and this is in the Maryland area. She went down to D.C. with her husband. They said, this is the story she told me. She showed up an hour and a half or so after the rioting had already concluded and people were actually leaving. She walks up to the Capitol building with open sidewalks. There's people standing on the grass talking. There's people walking around. The doors are wide open. Her and her husband walk up, see people and the police standing there. Walking
around.
She said she was in for a few minutes, asked what was going on. They said nothing much and said, okay, and she left. She was sentenced to 18 months in jail.
Oh no!
Whoa.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying.
Whoa.
That's what I'm
Hold on.
saying, G. That's what I'm
Pause.
saying.
What the fuck?
Just for being there.
Just for being there
Yep.
for a couple minutes, you get hit with the.
When they ran those indictments, bro, they tried to come down on everybody just for being affiliated with, just for being there, affiliated with being a Trump supporter and for being at the Capitol on that day at that time.
Oh, y'all gonna have to run me some bread for that one. I ain't gonna lie. Ain't no way. I just pulled up and I got 18.
Bro, it kind of goes along with the narrative. Like, yeah, if we charge everybody with a crime, that just kind of proves that everybody there was a criminal. Everybody there was aggressive. Everybody there wasn't peacefully rioting.
Oh,
they were aggressively rioting.
Hey, I'm gonna be an insurrectionist then after them 18 months. I promise you that.
Bro, if you charge everybody that was there, it's a lot easier to paint that insurrection narrative versus, oh, I can only charge 2 people there because only 2 people got aggressive.
Yeah, it sounds weak. It's like, all right, well,
there was 100 people there, but only 2 got aggressive. We can't even really call this an insurrection. But now if we charge everybody, even if this shit don't stick, even if this shit just gets caught up in court, even if these niggas get out, bro, it's a lot easier for us to paint that narrative of like, yeah, this shit was actually a problem. We had to charge everybody there. Everybody there was doing this. It's a lot easier for that narrative to be spread rather than everybody there was actually just there peacefully protesting.
All right, yeah, that's a fair point. I like that.
That she was just a tourist who went to see Donald Trump speak, was unaware of any barricades. I think the issue is, especially for the corporate press, those stories aren't newsworthy for them. They're not going to get clicks. If you take a look at how CNN reported the acquittal of Matthew Martin, they still just don't want to admit that a police officer waved a man into the building and a judge agreed he was welcomed in. They still try and make it seem like it's all a misunderstanding and the cop wasn't waving him in.
Yeah, and you know what, the corporate press piece is interesting of this because some of the people who are now, they're not going after.
How do you misunderstand a waving?
A hand gesture showing you to motion you in.
But if they're part of the corporate press, somehow that was immune from investigation.
What else could this be?
No, we just wanted you to come up here so we could tell you you're getting a charge.
Or bro was having a stroke right there and then or something.
Who was actually yelling, as best I know, didn't even go to the Capitol, was on a megaphone yelling 1776. I didn't think that was a crime in this country. But apparently that was, by definition, he ended up spending time, actually, unfortunately, under prosecution and under conviction.
The year of independence.
So I think it's a violation of the rule of law. I also think you haven't even gotten to the spicy stuff. But first of all, I want to say one thing. I'm
Trump
glad that CNN,
fans, nationalists, and people who support America. Mostly, that was the crowd that assembled that day. There was a few extremists there.
Iowa about maybe a month and a half ago, where we started to talk to this woman, Abby Phillips, who was monitoring the town hall. They literally cut it off 5 minutes early. Like, literally, it was supposed to be, there was a full time, there's a full run of show. By the time I start talking about January 6th, and there's only a few third rails that you really can't touch. But for whatever reason, this is one of them. They ended the whole thing 5 minutes early, trot out a bunch of different experts explaining to their audience why everything they just heard was misinformation and needed to be debunked as dangerous for the future. And then that's when they start calling us. And you know, they actually, on YouTube, funny thing is, they threatened us with the cease and desist for putting up that town hall while Nikki Haley still sat up there for 6 months. I think part of it is, Tim, it's not just that it's less spicy for less clicks. I think there's something deeper and more ideological definitely going on here, that they believe it is their responsibility to make sure the public does not hear in this case, here are the facts of what happened. But even in other cases, viewpoints that are alternative to their own. I do think that's an.
Well, what did Trump say when he was in office? That's fake news.
Well, this is the thing. We don't know a lot of the facts. How many FBI agents played a role in what happened? How many undercover police officers or other federal agencies participated in this event? Why did it take so long to respond? What just happened to Ray Epps, and how was he able to get that kind of deal when there's so many people rotting away in solitary confinement right now?
Shout out, bro, in his shirt.
And you don't even have to go as far as to say it was an inside job or it wasn't an inside job. The burden of proof is on the government. The people have questions. We should demand answers. And I think we need a full investigation, not just of that event, but the entire FBI, from its inception, they have been doing illegal, horrible things to the American public, lying, spying, destroying people's personal...
All right. Yeah, we all know the FBI be on their bullshit, though. We all know about the FBI. Since day one...
The ABC intelligence agency.
Bro, if we was to low-key investigate the FBI since it's insurrection, bro, it would be terrible shit we'd find out.
Nigga, we probably wouldn't be able to get to the end of that investigation.
Oh, God. We had a couple niggas dying.
Come on, bro.
Ain't no way.
The men in black suits showing up to our door like, y'all just need to stop.
Yeah, just
y'all like life, right? Y'all like living, right? Yeah, just stop.
You You like being American, right?
You like your life as it is, right? You like your life and disclose a whole bunch of personal information about you that you would think nobody knows. You like your life like that, right?
Yeah.
You just stop.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
stop. If
And
you like all
AI
those
exists.
things, if you like all those things, stop right now.
Oh, yeah, AI exists. So we can make it look like you did some crazy things.
Bro.
It really gets you out
Bro.
your body.
After a conversation like that, yeah, you
blackmailing
good.
individuals, including MLK, and more importantly, when you
Shout
look
out
at
MLK.
what happened specifically
Yeah, they did
in
blackmail.
2001 in New York City, the FBI also played a major role in that incident that they were never held accountable for. We need a full investigation into the FBI. Would that be something that you would support?
Yes, but I think I have gained enough of an understanding of the FBI such that I can confidently say the correct answer is not to give them some new building or anything else. It is not to replace Christopher Wray, which is just a fake
The
mirage.
director?
Mirage.
Get Christopher Wray out, you get James Comey 2.0. I'm convinced the right answer is to shut down the failed Bureau of Investigation, the FBI.
The failed
Failed
Bureau
Bureau
of
of
Answer that
Investigation.
remains. And I actually think you guys are, playing almost nicer with respect to the facts that we do have. As I said, I agree that it appears to be an inside job, but we don't really know the full extent of what happened. I will say, though, it's interesting. I don't know if you guys have talked about this in the show before. I've kind of gone deep on this because I think it's important, not just for this incident, but for the future of the country. You know who the Detroit field office head was at the time of the alleged Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot? Are you guys, is this something you've talked about before or not really?
I think
about
we
it
have, but take
extensively.
it away.
Yeah, this is important, though, to understand the nexus. It's kind of an underbelly in our law enforcement. So the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping plot actually began as a plot to storm the Capitol in the state of Michigan. And you know how it started was people at the FBI putting people up to this. Poor guys. One of them was actually supposedly getting hot water from a Mexican restaurant across the street. These are people who are not doing well in their life, who they've put up and cultivated with $5,000 credit cards with $5,000 limits to go buy munitions and otherwise. So initially what began as a plot to storm the Capitol, but eventually ended up being a plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. A good number of the people who were captured here, like we're talking about a high proportion of them were absolutely federal informants. And yet the Detroit field office head, and they took that all the way to trial, several of the people at trial were acquitted on grounds of entrapment. One of the jurors at the end went to one of the defendants, just gave him a hug and apologized for what he had been through because the juror actually had to see what the FBI put these people up to. And you can't make this stuff up. In October of 2020,
entrapment.
3 months before January of 2021, guess who gets a promotion to be the D.C. field office head? Was none other than that Detroit field office head. And what do you have on January 6, 2021, 3 months later, is a storming of the U.S. Capitol. So there's a lot here.
Oh, man, we all know the shiesty games that the FBI plays. It reminds me of a story, speaking of Detroit, coming out of same city, Detroit. I'm not sure how many of my viewers or our viewers are familiar with the story of White Boy Rick. You familiar with that story?
Yeah. FBI put him up to the selling guns and shit, I believe.
Guns and drugs, pretty much ran his whole neighborhood off the shit, became obviously a multimillionaire off of it. And then when he was finally caught up on the charges, the FBI washed their hands of him and told him, pretty much denied all association with the niggas.
Yep. That was wild. Let him go to jail.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's out now, I think. But yeah, it's a very interesting story. Y'all should go read up on that. I think there's a movie as well.
There is a movie on there. That's how I found out about it. I was like, they shiesty as fuck. Like, how you gonna do, bro, like that?
And that is a real story. So that just kind of shows you some of the tactics that the FBI uses to get what they need, to get what they want. So I know a lot of us think that these ABC agencies have our best interests at heart, but they're their own entities with their own agendas that they're chasing after.
In a very, very, very savage playbook.
Yeah, cunning, I would say.
Yeah,
cunning.
Cunning,
I would say.
Strategically cunning.
Bro, but think about it. When you can literally do whatever, it's almost easy to get what you want.
Bro, and you have all the personnel who have all the clearance in the world.
Unlimited resource.
Bro. They're not a place they can't step on.
Oh, man. Yeah, it almost. I agree with Vivek because there is no reformation. There's
they got too powerful at a certain point.
You only can just abolish them and just maybe build it back up to be something else.
Didn't they say they had something to do with Kennedy? Oh, it's not.
Dog. Think about any foreign affairs, like when there's been any insurrection,
CIA, FBI,
bro. We leading that shit. We giving the
trip.
guns to the militia. Like, yeah, bro, just take care of niggas.
Yeah, fuck them niggas,
bro. Like,
it's like we did for Afghanistan.
Think about Syria.
Russia.
Yeah, like come on, bro. Think about this shit that internationally, that we've always had our imprints on this shit. It's not anything new. It's their playbook.
The DC pipe bomb story at the DNC and the RNC headquarters. Why haven't we heard the first thing about what we actually know, despite the existence of video footage about that, and the careful coincidence of exactly when that pipe bomb at the RNC headquarters happened to have been discovered, with the timer on it down to the time where the actual vote was supposed to be cast for certifying the results of the election.
Hilarious.
It's an impossibility. That was the number one thing for me. I mean, the day after, and sorry to cut you off, but the day after January 6th, I was like, this is it's complete setup by the FBI. I mean, if you mean to tell me that I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time, a couple of blocks away from the White House when January 6th happened, it was a very bizarre day because we had an entire summer of people rioting. It was scary to go outside. I was pregnant at the time. Cars set on fire. Yep. Every day there was a crazy protest, people storming buildings at all.
Now, everybody had riots in their individual cities, but these shits got intense in certain cities. Intense. New York, D.C., California. These were riots that, like she said, cars on fire. This where the niggas was setting targets on fire and shit like that.
All for a nigga who was a crackhead, who died doing a crime, whose death was debatable.
Oh, you touching on some sensitive topics, set.
Yeah, I know. I'll chill.
Touching on some sensitive topics, but yeah, man. Fuck it, I agree. I fully agree. There was a lot more to look into in the case of George Floyd, and a lot of people just got caught up in emotion, really.
Yup. And then it was a black man and a white cop and a I'm sorry. Let's not go there though. Mm-hmm. That's another video.
All times. Suddenly, after the summer,
I encourage everybody to watch Candace Owens documentary on that if you haven't already seen it.
There wasn't any sounds outside of where I lived. If you mean to tell me that in Washington D.C., where you can't walk 2 feet,
got a buddy
it is the most surveilled building in the world. That a couple of blocks away from the White House, they can't figure out where they're cameras on every single corner, every inch. Who got out of their car, placed pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC headquarters, and went away. And let me tell you how extensive their search was. This is something that people are not talking about. You're talking about that trial, of course. That's the most important. People that are being locked up, people that have committed suicide. Let's not forget to talk about people that have killed themselves for fear of being locked up because they showed up to support the sitting president of the United States. I have 2 friends from Stamford, Connecticut.
Oh, what'd she just say? Hold on.
State?
People killed themselves? Or unalived themselves? I'm sorry.
An entire summer of people rioting. It was scary to go outside. I was pregnant at the time. Cars set on fire. Every day there was a crazy protest, people storming buildings at all times.
True.
Suddenly, after the Summer of Love BLM, we were getting phone calls, people asking if we were okay after January 6th when there wasn't any sounds outside of where I lived. If you mean to tell me that in Washington, D.C., where you can't walk 2 feet, it is the most surveilled building in the world, okay? That a couple of blocks away from the White House, they can't figure out where they're, cameras on every single corner, every inch, who got out of their car, placed pipe bombs at the RNC and the DNC headquarters, and went away. And let me tell you how extensive their search was, because this is something that people are not talking about, because you're talking about people that stood trial, and of course, that's the most important, people that are being locked up, people that have committed suicide. Let's not forget to talk about people that have killed themselves for fear of being locked up because they showed up to support the sitting.
So she just said that there were innocent people there who were just showing up to support Donald Trump, what they thought was a stolen election, that instead of facing federal charges, they unalived themselves. Just so they didn't have to go fuck with the shit, because they knew we're dealing with a corrupt system.
That is some sad shit. I ain't gonna lie. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. It was
man.
You put pressure on the regular citizens.
The niggas that uphold our society that we live in now.
Bro.
The blue collar niggas.
Bro, we're talking about a motherfucker who ain't never committed a crime in their life, thinking of a year or 2 year federal crime.
We talking about niggas that don't even have speeding tickets, bro.
Bro, here's the thing is, we're talking about motherfuckers who got their whole life set up, who never committed a crime, to where if you put a federal crime, that's their entire livelihood. Everything they ever worked for.
Yeah.
And y'all was just playing with niggas' lives like that? Okay, well.
To send a message, bro. It was a message. It was a message.
Ain't that about a...
Well played. Well played.
Man.
It's a rapper I like called Bankroll Fresh. He got a song called It's a Dirty Game.
Man. Oh, man.
President of the United States. I have two friends from Stamford, Connecticut, who showed up to hear Donald Trump speak and went home. Okay? That was it. They never went into the Capitol building, nothing. After the speech, they didn't go up. FBI agents showed up at their house. This was a harassment and intimidation campaign that took place. If you even showed up to support President Trump, they got questioned. They got questioned. They found a picture of them on Facebook with a MAGA flag. They heard Trump speak and they went home. And these people were questioned by the feds. So they had enough resources, right, to send them out and hunt down people that were posting pictures. But they can't find out who just tried to blow up headquarters in Washington, D.C., a couple of blocks away from the White House.
And you want to know what the weirdest part about this is? And I'm just, as I go deeper, learning facts about this, is Kamala Harris, the number 2, for better or worse, to succeed
Better or worse, hilarious.
was at the DNC headquarters that morning. With all coming, the level of security there, that understand that suddenly, randomly, they just see it on a park bench later. So I think there's enough facts here to know the government has not been transparent with us. But furthermore, we know Capitol Police officers let him in. We know that the video footage was selectively released, such that you did not see shooting rubber bullets and tear gas into the mostly peaceful crowd. You saw the reaction of those people hitting the Capitol after releasing that, and then you did not see initially Capitol Police officers allowing people in peacefully. It's a distortion, and we just deserve the truth.
Well, I have a question for you. So I've often talked about the May 29th insurrection. May 29th, 2020, thousands of far-left extremists stormed the barricades of the White House, fought with hundreds, if not several hundred police officers, injured
we don't care about those,
between 70 and 140. They firebombed the White House grounds. That's true. They set fire to a guard tower, and they set fire to St. John's Church. This is a historical church the Founding Fathers would go to. It was so severe
2020,
that the president was forced into his emergency bunker, thus disrupting his official duties. And
really?
Yes.
Can we
Yeah, we're saying key media fact check here.
hold on, man, because so you're telling me on May 26th, 2020?
Yeah, I got you.
Because I never heard of that shit. That's crazy. So you telling me these niggas, but it was the left, it was the liberals. So because it was liberals, it's okay. Like I said, it was liberals. If it's liberals, it's okay. There's no way.
So what I got here is the George Floyd protests were a series of police brutality protests that began in Minneapolis in the United States on May 26, 2020. So I guess that was the day of the George Floyd incident. The civil unrest and protests began as part of an international reaction to the murder of George Floyd, a 46-year-old African-American man, during an arrest. Derek Chauvin, a Minneapolis Police Department officer, knelt on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes, 29 seconds. We all know the story. Chauvin and the other 3 officers involved were later arrested. Won't go in too deep because we already know the story. But that's essentially what kicked off the
insurrection,
leftist-led riots that year.
No, leftist-led insurrection of May 26, 2020.
I mean, if we're loosely defining insurrection as
what Trump did, then sure, why not?
We're throwing that in the bucket too.
But if we want to call that a riot, then we can go ahead and throw Trump on the shit on the riot.
I encourage y'all to kind of research what an insurrection or actual coup is. And I maybe I'm crazy for defining it as such, but I tend to look at third world countries and how they handle that shit in an actual coup and an actual insurrection. This is when you have the military team up with the people or a local militia and they go in, take the leader, and damn near behead that nigga in the city center.
Oh God.
That's an insurrection. That's a coup.
Him and the fam.
I'm telling you.
And now they got a whole new leadership.
Anything short of that is protesting.
Protesting or a slight riot at best.
Yeah.
Which they could be arrested for civil unrest.
Yeah, of course. I'm not saying that anything wasn't done wrong, but a coup, an insurrection
is wild.
Come on now.
Wild as fuck. Because nobody was in danger. Let's be real. Nobody was in danger.
But they keep wanting to talk about all the people that were injured that day. When you say things like that, they bring up the numbers of other people that were injured. Yeah. There were some people that were just out of shape. There was people that died of heart attacks. Like, come on now. There was a lady that tried to climb the wall and fell and injured herself. Like there was certain injuries like that, like non-contact injuries for my sports people that know it. Non-contact injuries. Yeah. People got injured on their own, like just from being there. Not like they got hit.
And this is what I don't get. How did like 140 like armed police officers like get subdued by these niggas?
One might say the numbers were inflated. One might say that the riots were just that aggressive.
You are a trained officer with a lethal weapon and a piece of metal on your hand, like on your side and in your hand.
Well, Set, they were outnumbered. Set, they were outnumbered. Set.
I just can't accept that. 140. You could have fired. Okay, never mind. Rubber bullets, fire squad style.
But Set, they had no idea that this was going to be happening at this day on this time.
Man, I'd have retreated back when it got okay. Well, they just don't got good military strategy at that point.
Well, Set, they were Capitol officers. They weren't SWAT. They weren't even really police officers. They were Capitol officers. Just there to defend the Capitol, police the Capitol.
Those would be the best officers, though. If you're defending the goddamn Capitol with a president say, you should be the coldest of the cold to me. You should be able to drop 6 niggas with damn near 3 bullets.
Nope.
Ah, hell no.
Security officers almost.
No, you got me fucked up. That don't make no sense.
Security officers
you got
almost.
Security niggas guarded in the White House.
Hey.
Of course. All right, man. Say less. All right. No, that's on the president at that point.
Wow. And my question
this ain't Secret Service. This is Capitol Police.
Where was our commission? Where was the? The photos of that day. When I go to family gatherings over the holidays, and I show a photo of an aerial shot of D.C., which many of you may have seen, smoke rising out all around the White House and the surrounding areas from fires that were being lit. Mm-hmm. The president was forced into an emergency bunker against his will, and the media made fun of him and called him Bunker Boy for having had to experience this. Donald Trump said, I went down, they showed me, and he clearly didn't want to be there. When law enforcement then cleared out the extremists who had laid siege to the White House, I'm being purposefully hyperbolic, you understand why. Donald Trump came out the next day and took a picture, and they attacked him and insulted him for having defended the White House and a church that was set on fire by an extremist faction. A faction so extreme, in fact, that similar groups and cells within the same ideology had seized several blocks in various cities. In Atlanta, in Seattle in their Capitol Hill occupation, and in Minnesota with George Floyd Square. Yeah. Videos emerged out of, I believe it was Seattle, of armed groups walking around with AR-15s, pointing them at drivers. People of a similar or same ideology, in fact, many of these people do coordinate, engaged in insurrection. Now, of course, we can calm down and say a bunch of extremist activists rioting in the streets, no insurrection. Oh, fair point. Then neither was the Capitol.
Well, what about Brett Kavanaugh? Was anybody alive for the Brett Kavanaugh hearings? Do you remember them storming in, going into senators' offices? I'm telling you, D.C. was insane, and nobody cared until January 6th happened. This was like a routine thing that was happening to get their ideas across. They were doing sit-ins. They were walking in, in the halls uninvited. They couldn't get these people out. It's just crazy to think that suddenly they focused on January 6th, and it's hard to imagine that the feds were not in on it when we know we have all of these pieces of footage.
At the very least.
One thing, because I think there's 2 strands here. Both are I think there's 2 different points, and both are interesting. But I think it's important not to mix them up because it might risk us missing the real plot here, which is, one is, have we applied the different standard of rule of law throughout this country over the course of 2020? Absolutely we did. Antifa, BLM, you name it. If you have a left-wing ideology, it was a mostly peaceful protest, you ignore it. Mm-hmm. That's a glaring point and deserves to be called out. And I think that there can be no justice with 2 standards of the rule of law based on your political ideology. Mm-hmm. I think, to be clear, what happened on January 6th...
Extremely fair point, because if you say anything disparaging about the left's movement, Black Lives Matter movement that was going on around that time, you're immediately labeled a racist.
Oh, God. A race betrayer, a coon. The black community's words for you was always hilarious.
Oh, man.
But it was just not very good. It was not a good time to be speaking the truth at that point.
If you had any ideas that differ from the status quo, or just any independent thought that you offered yourself,
that was not liberal.
Yeah, you were torn down. You were labeled. You were, vilified. Really, vilified. Like you were just the worst race betrayer, worst racist of all time. Like
a bigot.
We all had to be on one track mind at that time. And if you weren't, hey, you were called out for it.
Key, you don't believe that men who dress as women should be able to use the women's restroom?
Come on, Set. Come on, Set.
I'm just saying, like, if you do not, then you're a bigot. You're a bigot. You're a transphobe. Really, you're a homophobe. And you should honestly just kill yourself.
Hey, I'll take it all in spades, baby. Let's go.
See?
I'll take it all in spades.
And that's
baby.
the liberal, and that's how the liberal thinks. There you go.
Hey, fuck it. If me standing on business makes me a conservative or Republican, me having morals, me having character that I'm not willing to sacrifice, hey, fuck it. I'll be the biggest liberal or be the biggest conservative Republican, even though I don't affiliate myself with any political party. If that's how y'all motherfuckers want to label a nigga like me or label somebody who has those type of beliefs, hey, fuck it.
But Key, if you don't support the destruction of your dollar through Ukraine or Israel,
oh Jesus,
you're an isolationist, you're a nationalist, which is somehow a bad thing nowadays. Mm-hmm. And once more,
don't leave this out. And I support terrorism. And I support terrorism.
And you support terrorism because you don't condemn Hamas. I have not heard you condemn Hamas not one time.
I love it. Hey, Set, this me. Hey, America first.
America first.
6 was not some small joke. This was
I'm on that Sean Strickland
in terms of the number of people, in terms of some of the video footage the mainstream media picked out. But I think what's significant about it is we don't know what actually caused those people to act the way they did. Was it really the government instigating something that otherwise didn't exist, using it as a deflection to achieve a national security state's revival that had otherwise receded over the course of 20 years since the post 9/11 period? And so maybe I've just told you what I actually think is going on here. But that's what I think the facts suggest, is there was a reason for these people to not only get Donald Trump out of office, but to discredit this, to relegate this line of thinking, the movement behind him, to the dustbins of history. And this was the way to do it. So I think that there was a lot of depth to this, and it wasn't just that, okay, well, like this was, I mean, these are two different standards, two different bad things, yes. Right. But this was, I think, a very serious forethought exercise in accomplishing something. And unless we see through it, first step when you see a problem is to name it. Unless we do that, they are going to accomplish what they set out to accomplish. That's what I believe.
I'd like to jump to some breaking news from today, and then we'll get into some core issues that are happening. We've got stories on immigration.
Perfect.
There's a school in New York that they told the kids to go remote. You can't use the school anymore because illegal immigrants are coming in. We have a breaking story from James O'Keefe where he actually tracked down buses engaged in human trafficking, and they flee from him. It's really interesting. But we'll start with this story from our good friends at the New York Times.
I think we got a little
Christy
right
caught
here,
on
guys.
hot mic disparity.
Can't go a little bit too over. Y'all don't like that, but let us know if you want longer lives. You know, we'll be happy to do some more. But
yeah, definitely listening to y'all feedback on that.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it around our sweet spot, which is that 30 45 minute lives.
But yeah, as we wrap up, go ahead, Seth, talk to him. What you think about topics discussed?
Man, the topics discussed were pretty good. I liked it. I like how they kind of went in on every aspect of it, like on the court cases surrounding the people, on the missing footage that they won't present in court. It's just a lot of shit, and it's just like, all right, cool. How is everybody so sold on this when the facts is like, bro, who could be sold on this? Mm-hmm. It's like, you're really gonna have to sell a jury on them just saying, oh yeah, it's there. Yeah, he was there. I'm like, where's the video? Can't show y'all that, but just believe me, he was there. Look at him. He's a Trump supporter. What I can show you is videos of him in a MAGA hat.
Right.
Like,
right.
That's all they got.
One of the things that one of my biggest takeaways that was actually troubling for me, actually made me fearful even, was Candace and I believe Tim sharing the stories of people that they personally knew who were in the DC at the time, just in the vicinity. Okay. Not necessarily participating in the destruction or the aggression of what was going on, but just was there, just was showing support. Like, hey, like, I don't agree with what's going on. I'm just here looking around, got my iPhone out, take a couple pictures. These are the same people with careers. These are the same people that uphold the society that we got in America. Blue collar people, like we was saying, people that probably never even had a speeding ticket in their life. Now you trying to come down on these people's head with 2, 3, 4 year federal sentences just for being there.
Why?
When we all know some of these cities was torn down during 2020 riots. Some of these cities is still repairing, still rebuilding.
Mostly businesses.
It's not a secret. We live in Columbus. We had businesses on our most popular streets with boarded up windows. So to have the polarity between the two movements be so strong, if you align with this side, you're good, and if you're aligned with this side, you're automatically bad. It just so it makes one thing.
You're a protester. If you're a Republican or a Trump supporter, you're an insurrectionist.
Mm-hmm.
It's some unfair bullshit. It's some unfair bullshit. I'll be quite frank with you.
And that's just calling it out right in the middle from a neutral standpoint. Again, we don't affiliate with any political party, so to speak, on this channel. We just call shit out for what it is, and obviously apply critical thought to everything that goes on. And if you're a viewer or a fan of S.E.T and Key Media, we encourage you to do the same.
Yeah, because here at S.E.T and Key Media, look, we hop on everybody's ass.
Yep.
If the Republicans do some bullshit, we gonna tell you. Mm-hmm. If the liberals do some bullshit, well, they've been doing the most bullshit lately, so we've been getting most of the content off them. Thank you, liberals, for acting stupid. We love
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like, we gonna call you out.
But that's
not care who you with.
But that's not to say there's not bullshit on both sides. We are not a channel or two individuals who blindly align with any political party. It's politics. It's a dirty fucking game.
It's a dirty game in politics.
So it's I feel like that is something that everybody needs to look out for when you are presented this information. Just apply some critical thought to it. Ask where it's coming from. Ask what direction they're trying to lead you in when presenting you these facts, and that'll kind of help everybody apply some a little bit more critical thought to what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Try to see where they're trying to take you, so you can see how they're trying to manipulate.
Don't get spun for no ride out here. Don't get taken for no ride.
All right, with S.E.T and Key Media, man, we out here timing out. We'll see y'all again soon.
Appreciate y'all tuning in. If you're new here again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button as we continue to grow